Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? I am back live, as they would say, and yeah, got the oil changed in the bus, and you know, passed all the inspections, so the bus is, you know, up and ready to go. Completely remodeled job. I hope you like it. So welcome. Thank you. Yesterday was my lovely wife's birthday, and Ruby, thank you, and Trina, there were others, but had a great day. Just a smooth, mellow day. And we had favor. Speaking favor over us all. Hey, listen, it's better to have favor and have it, and then if you need it and don't have it, yeah. So, and we always like to top that off with nothing missing, nothing broken. Hey, it's been a little bit of a week. And kind of going forward into the summer, I'll be having a few or more days off during the week. I got some projects that I just got to do. And they're the type of thing, at least this is how I am. I may be a little anal retentive, who knows? But if I get into something, I like to get into it like really early. I'm an early morning riser, as our friends Supertramp would say. Um, and so I like to hit things early, and particularly in this region here, because it can get pretty hot and sticky, as they would say. And so what I'm trying to say is you'll see me intermittently not doing a show, but that's probably why. So, and speaking of which, tomorrow, Miss Trina, because I was taking a sabbatical hiatus. How's that? And so Trina has some things to do with the family, so she will not be here. I think Jenny still will be, but I plan on being. And then on Wednesday, our good friend Judith uh, over at this completely Quebec, I believe. Yeah, over at Night Flight Radio. So I'm gonna have a do a show with her on Wednesday. So anyway, how are y'all doing? Hello, chat room. Hello, everybody in the moderators. Ginger, how are you doing? Lauren, good to see you. Emperor, I think I saw Gilbert. How are you doing? Gilbert, didn't your mom just have a birthday? I think so. Grace, what's up? Millie, hello. Mr. Floyd, good to see you. And Deborah, how are you, darling? Loretta, good to see you. And DC, what's happening? Well, thank you. Thank you. I missed y'all. I had a lot of time to think. Yeah, it's really a cool thing to do. And if thought transcends to every dimension, which we say that, but yet to define what another dimension is, I don't know too many of us who could do it. I don't know if anyone could do it. Unless you say like the dream state is another dimension. I can dig that. Or if your brain has, they would say, an altered state of consciousness, that's another dimension, right? Would think. Anyway, um, it's the thought that if I can think, therefore I am. Well, of course you are, my bright little star. Hello, Moody Blues. Boy, just on a whole remembering the good music when it was original. But then again, was that original? I mean, had we somewhere in a previous civilization, did they have a Woodstock of their own? I mean, did they have like, a Jimmy Page, Pete Townsend, Alvin Lee? Hey, Gilbert, does that bring back some memories, brother? Yeah. Hey, Dave, what's up? Good to see you. Heron, hello, Lady Ellie. I think I saw Goddess Sabina in there. How are you, darling? B3, B13, how are you? Good to see you. Um, yeah. I mean, if that thing in Ecclesiastics is true, that which was has yet be shall be again, and there's nothing new under the sun that has not been known to man before. Okay. I mean, I wonder how their Woodstock turned out. I mean, did the producers back there, did they make the right choice? When they were putting the movie Woodstock together, heavy politics in it. And there was so much missing out of the original three record set. But then again, there was a lot of music. I often say that, we could have probably done a little less with Joan Baez, maybe. Richie Havens was cool. But there was just some, it's like they could have brought in other bands. Of course, we will never hear CCR because of their legal things. Anyway, hey, everybody. Good to see y'all. All right. So, question I asked, you know, what is reality? Now, I was thinking last week, had a lot of time to do it, loved it. And as my mind and I walked the path, I pondered this question reality. All right. Excuse me. What is reality? How is reality influenced? How is it made? How is it defined? What did Morpheus say in the first Matrix? You know, what is reality? If you define reality by the five physical senses, then basically it's chemical, electrical stimulation. Is that thought? And then the next question I pondered, I said, well, all right, if reality is thought, is it the thought of one that envelops this backdrop that where we can become many gods and goddesses and create our own realities, even being immersed into what would be considered a much bigger reality? But in essence, when it all comes down to it's a chemical electrical stimulation. Then that leads into the question, then if it's a stimulation that produces what we call thought, and that thought then becomes reality, then stimulation implies that it is stimulated, meaning something is now agitating in essence. And isn't that mind control? Now, I contend that there is something going on right now, and this has been ongoing probably for the last who knows how long. But if we look at the modern era, it's very clear there seems to be some structure, some form. Hey, Gaia, how you doing? Saw you there. Hey, Mary Wins. I'll just, drop the thought, everyone, as I see people over there. Rabbit Hole, how you doing, brother? Monkey Experiments, good to see you, Jet. Hello. So anyway, so it would appear that there is some structure, some form of mind control. It seems. And I asked myself this question. I wrote this down, and it's interesting. I said, how much of, and I put this case mine, but I can say to your mind, how much of your mind is being controlled? I mean, we've all seemed to be victims of some form, some fashion of mind control. My exhibit to the group today, excuse me, mind control. Heavy mind control. Mind control. Mind control. All is the one of the most superior structures when you look at it, because every religion is mind control. And the thought occurred to me, well, then, how many minds are truly free? Now, this is a place where we come together. If we were back 2000 plus years ago, we would probably all be in an amphitheater, you know, getting into deep thought. The last vestige of enlightenment. Towns like Ephesus, all in that Asia Minor area, great minds, would, I have no doubt, probably thought about this. I don't know if they contemplated what minds were. I would think they did, though. But seriously, so here's a poll for everyone in the chat room. Is your mind free? How many, be honest, how many free minds do you really know? This is my answer. I don't know any. All minds I know are being influenced and controlled, have been influenced and controlled, which is the definition of mind control. So why is it there are no free minds? Because in this reality, the very fabric of reality within itself is a structure, probably the superior structure of mind control. It's interesting. See what's going on in the chat room. Hey, Guy, how are you and Paul doing? Good to see you. Joyce, Scully, neurolinguistic programming, repeated patterns. Interesting. Hey, Lucky. Freedom is a perception. We might think we are free, but we are constantly manipulated. That is mind control, flat out. So then the next question, who's the architect of this mind control? Why is it necessary? I mean, what? What is it? Can it really be identified as a who? So we're all victims. And you look in the modern era, this very medium we're using is a manipulative tool. If you've ever watched a television, if you ever watched a movie, a computer monitor, you're hypnotized right now. I'm not fucking around. I'm really serious. If you're in the chat room typing, you're hypnotized. If you're watching my image, it is a form of hypnosis. Then the mind becomes less inhibited. Now, this hypnotism is something that they discovered decades ago. It's what makes Hollywood what it is. And today, the internet is the most controlled environment that there is. You have big social companies that are using algorithms that manipulate the viewer. Yeah. They know how to manipulate your mind into buying something, influencing the way you want to think. No, not the way you want to think, the way they want you to think. You see, with mind control, if you have a docile mind, you can do anything you want with it. They'll never know the difference. Welcome to reality, sweetheart. Hey, Chloe. But it is a fact. All of us are hypnotized right now. Now, it's interesting. You can break the effect. You used to be able to do it much easier. But even the whole thing of music is a form of hypnosis, which is a form then that your mind can become influenced accordingly. As I said, there used to you could have gotten more away from it 50 years ago. Not so much today. It's here. And it's a constant form of hypnosis that is reinforced for many of the Generation Zs, and under those, I'd include the millennials. The greatest form of hypnosis is video games. It's the whole foundation and the theory of it. You become hypnotized at the rate of what the light is hitting you at. It affects the primary, the retina. Once it hits into the cornea, it has a pattern. If you've ever have a tendency for being adverse to strobe lights effects, because strobe lighting can, in fact, bring on epilepsy episodes. But you look at the flicker rate. Yeah. And once it's like sex. Once you've had it, you want more of it, typically. But this is even stronger than sex. Now, if you throw sex into it, it really becomes a very strong hypnosis. It really becomes, in many cases, one of the harder barriers of mind control to actually be able to be broken, if it can be broken, maybe controlled. See, every religion, um, if you go back when we were more nomadic, the flickering of a fire can become mesmerizing, hypnotizing. And if you read the books, there is something going on here. There is this extraterrestrial, I guess is what you could call it, comes in and inserts itself, that's what the book says, as the master controller. It influences the very fabric of what we call reality. You have the do's and the don'ts. You have penalties. You've got rewards. That's mind control. It's manipulation. They do that in the criminal justice department, the system, schools, companies. To get a promotion, you do X. Oh, too bad. You should try again. And then the question becomes into this thing, well, what would a fucking free mind look like then? I mean, if there was, I don't know. I've thought about, pondered on this for hours. I couldn't come up with, and even in the religious stories, whatever flavor you go for. I mean, even the central character is either being controlled by a more superior intelligence or is seeking now to control minds. The ultimate MK Ultra program. Religion, the opiate of the people. All impacting our mind. Today, you've got the craziness, and it's everywhere. The United States is just, you look at the political ideologies. That's the ultimate, would you not say it? Or if it was on a hierarchy, would definitely be second tier political ideology. Now remember, we're all hypnotized. Every time you turn a TV on, a computer, you look at your smartphone, you can deny it and say, I'm just going to say, It's how it works. Just because you can't see it does not mean that it's not happening to you. All of us. Then that would mean that we're all victims. What would a free mind look like? I put it out there into the chat room. And if you're watching this on the replay, please put it in the comment. The more comments y'all put in there, the better the rankings for what we're talking about. So tell me what a free mind would look like. How would a free mind act? I guess as I'm sitting here thinking about this with you, is that, let me see what's everyone saying. Hey, Blazing River, Shan, good to see you. Would be creation? Is that what a free mind looks like? I mean, does a mind need intelligence? Now, if intelligence exists, which we know it does in this limited reality, heavily controlled, if intelligence existed, and let's say we had those that were in control, got inside information, and they know for a fact we're not alone where you would say intelligence outside of this earth. Now, what if they learn something? If intelligence, and by intelligence, what are we speaking about? I mean, I've seen a lot of dumb, smart people. I've seen a lot of smart, dumb people that, that's how they were cataloged. So what would intelligence be? Is it a measure of what? Your cognitive abilities? And so cognition is in the frontal temporal lobes. Okay, that's where that comes from. But if my brain is this organism that we still don't even really know about, I mean, we're still studying, we don't understand it. We cut it up, we dissect it, we do all the thing, we still don't understand it. So is my brain the organism by which I have the interface? Now, so does intelligence then mean there's a brain? And just because we can see a physical brain in the physical reality, in the corporeal form, doesn't mean that a brain doesn't exist in other realms and other dimensions. I mean, why we don't, The misnomer is that people say, well, people only use 10% of their brains. No, 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 no. If you're able to talk, walk, and talk, and multitask, you're using all of your brain. The problem is that people unfortunately use very limited amount of the brain's capacity. And that's by design. So would a free mind mean a totally encumbered interface that we would call this organ a brain? I mean, people will say, well, that doesn't, well, that's not how it works. How do you know? I mean, if you can see an apparition, then, what's the necessary for the cranium to be exactly like the avatar? And if you're saying, well, no, that's what it is. So is that reality? Is that not mind even at death? Are we not controlled? And it seems to be a whole lot of others that are jockeying to get control of our minds. Look at the political parties. Democracy is really not a free process. Republic, yes. Democracy is not so. But you look at communism, Marxism, socialism. I mean, you look at all of them. Mind control. Straight up. And that type of mind control, it's just like the religions. It's cruel, manipulative. It inflicts guilt, fear. When these are injected into a free mind, that mind is now polluted, contaminated. And no matter what transition, what realm, what manifestation it takes, it'll always bring that with it. And so, does that mean mind control extends far beyond the grave? I mean, no movement can exist unless it's controlled. And then that influence and exerts control over the other minds. Now, does that somehow mean, and there's a backdoor code to this, that actually these are all minds? We're of a hive, collective, individual, but collective. Is that how we are in our natural state? Is that what energy looks like? It looks like it in our brains. You can look at the neural pathways. Again, what that look like? Now, getting and finishing out the thought. So we know what alien influence looks like. We've got the religious books. But even if you look at a secular historical perspective, always the mind control. Always. And so, is it an evolutionary process of what does a mind have to be conditioned? I contend, folks, that we have been conditioned. We have been told already, we have been conditioned for this. They have manipulated us for this. There's something big going to happen. And the reaction is not going to be, I think, what a lot of people are thinking, because we already know it. We're all hypnotized. I mean, even now they're bombarding us with sound waves. Sound waves, we're discovering, are more complex than what we could ever think of. Sound waves are the physical representation and manifestation of thought. Now, if thought is energy, then energy becomes thought. Therefore, it can show itself. We know that if you use certain frequencies, certain pitches, have devastating effect on our brains physically. sonic weapons. They're real. We know the same thing happens with microwaves. They now have the apertures that all I have to do is just point it at a crowd and you're going to burn up, baby. You're in the middle of that invisible wave, that energy. It's going to have serious consequences on your physical flesh. Subsequently, your mind as well. And so let's say that you wanted to take a planet over. See, our minds are so easily manipulated. A higher intelligence would see that. Every story of every religion of what God is, what Christ is, whatever you want to put there, it is a mind controller. It must influence your mind in order for its existence and propagation moving forwards. We inflict mind control on our children, and we're not good at it. So many parents are so fucked up. They're fucked up because their parents were fucked up. And so we have this local isolation of mind control, manipulation. And then I guess they mean that once our minds are then controlled and influenced in that, then that's how we begin to think that that's how things really are. But they're not. We know that. Now, you see, I believe that the story of religions are nothing more than the alien invaders. They're not seen. They have ideologies that require their devotees be completely compliant. Mind control. We've seen throughout our history, if we don't have the religion, then we'll invent what we will call government, empires, battling over people's minds, winning influence. We're about to get into the insane season here in the United States with the political. Those are all mind control. If the American people would reject those ads and just simply turn the television off or mute it and refuse to participate. But you got to look at it. Those are tentacles of something that is manipulating our minds. Therefore, they are manipulating our reality. But we're all hypnotized. We like protesting. We like making ourselves like a bunch of roosters going around in the chicken yard, strutting their stuff, and you're thinking, this is mind control. I mean, it's like they're minuets. I don't know. Maybe it's the test. We don't get out alive. We know that, or at least in the physical form. That eventuality becomes all of our realities. And yet, through all of my studies, that which I did myself, when it comes to that moment, they're manipulating our thoughts on that, telling you what to expect or not to expect. Mind control. It's insidious. And if you have a foreign intelligence that operates and is designed on the same platform, the same code, Well, if planets like Earth are truly highly prized, we keep on trying to look out there and trying to look for a planet like ours. We haven't been successful with that. I have some candidates, but so it would really appear that Earth is really a jewel in the universe. Now, Carl Sagan believed this as well. He says it's idiocy for us to be broadcasting, hey, here we are. Yeah, come on over. We still throw our feces at each other, and yeah, we just mentally masturbate all the time, and that's about all we do. So, but we this is our planet. Yeah, it's ours. Well, if there's truly higher intelligences, observation would show that we're very easily fooled. Yeah, we love following the crowd, trends. The whole fashion industry is that. My time, I dated a woman who was a designer. Had her show right there and down in the fashion district. And it's amazing to me because you got these buyers. They're buying shit that they're anticipating 6 months out. So that's how the season works. Mind control. And then that becomes this whole big thing of economy. Mind control. Again, I don't know what a free mind would be, but getting back to this idea. So a higher intelligence, would they come in with guns ablazing and, lasers and no, 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 no. I don't think so. Real estate's too valuable. You don't want to fuck it up. We want to get the squatters, us humans, out of the equation. Well, how would you do that? Well, by observation alone, you would begin to see that um, that ain't the brightest group down there. They're always at war. They're at war with themselves. They're in war with each other. They don't know how to exist without war. Hell, it's even in what they do in their entertainment. Every sports has, an opponent. You win and lose. War. It's everywhere. War, the concept, the mind controllers, is in the corporate world. It certainly is in the bureaucracy world. War. You overcome your opponent. You struggle your whole fucking life through it, trying to overcome the other guy. Or if it becomes where there's a lack of resources, then everybody's your enemy. Because they want your shit. So as a higher intelligence is observing that, you'd say these people, they may think they're smart. They don't have a freaking clue. Well, how would you do that? Well, if our civilization has collapsed before, and let's say there's a new kid on the block, a new sheriff in town, and they want to bring their folks into our planet, well, how would you do that? Mind control. You most likely want to build something that has a neural net interface that every one of them would voluntarily interface each and every day, countless hours a day. And through that manipulation of hypnotizing them, because they don't understand the flicker rate, but that makes the image become in. So what we want to do is have them do themselves in. And that's where we are today. So many scenarios, but they all have the same destination, our demise. And the thought occurred to me. I said, now, wait a minute. What if this is all by design? We're all hypnotized. That's why when you see people that suddenly get into this really fucked up mind control thing: politics, politicians, bureaucrats, military. You see, those minds are not free, but they'll view others who do not follow into their controller. Now you're the enemy. And you'll hear the expression used, we don't like free thinkers. Every communist, Marxist takeover of any government, what do they go for? The philosophers and the intellectuals. Now, you can condition the intellectuals to become indoctrinated and controlled by a mind-controlled ideology. Now I'm killing two birds with one stone. Now, the thing you would really want to do, you would want them to become more and more dependent on the very thing that's designed for their demise. But they're hypnotized. I could come and give you the truth. You wouldn't give a rat's ass. You're hypnotized. Everything I'm saying, you'll forget. Doesn't matter. I could be actually channeling right now. Doesn't matter. Because this reality, the reality is that it doesn't matter. The truth doesn't matter. Quite frankly, I wrote this to an individual. Hello, Ian. There is no truth here. None. We can't handle that. Oh, there's so many other consequences to the fact that, Steiger, if you're saying truth is not existent, then what are we doing? What? I could say this is that I'm learning to live my truth. Well, what truth is that? It's my truth. I don't give a fuck about your truth. It's my truth. As Tom Petty would say, I'll face the very gates of hell, but I ain't backing down. That's a dangerous mind. I mean, if you can truly rise above the political ideology, the religious ideology, you're beginning to get in rarefied air that, there are those of our kind, we've tried it many times. They always seem to knock us down. But let's get back to this foreign intelligence. Now, how long would you give for a species to destroy itself? Remember, you want to try to keep the infrastructure. They got technology that can easily arrange that. They got to get rid of us. 1,000 years? Would you introduce an idea that would allow you to believe that there is an event or a personality that can save us from ourselves? Now, if you believe on something like that, I did, then what's the reality? They never talk about, well, how's this going to be done? How do you come in and fundamentally alter a mind? Oh, you got this whole thing. Well, it's my soul and it's my spirit. No, it's not. It's your fucking mind. Your soul or spirit can't talk if you don't have your mind. People would argue that. Argue all you want. Your argument fails. If you're saying a soul or a spirit exists and doesn't have a mind, then what is it? Well, it's energy, Wayne. Really? Okay. So how are you thinking this? Isn't your thought, I mean, doesn't your brain generate what? So 3.2 watts or something? Hmm. And so again, it's this whole thing influencing the minds. Maybe that is a free mind. Maybe a free mind is the mind that can question, even in the midst of the most strongest hypnotized or mind control or manipulation or influence um, implemented. I mean, you implant thoughts, right? Seeds. Well, that was the thing growing up. That's what they always did, in Sunday school. And then later in, you know, Bible school settings. Free minds were never welcomed because if you let your mind become controlled, well, then in be a whole lot of other control, isn't it? The forbidden fruit. Uh, Manuel says the mind is something we all share. Then that would be the hive mind, right? Which I don't deny that. I mean, we know species that truly do have the hive mind, ants, bees. We see it in the plant kingdom. Humans can't figure it out, but huge strategic advantages for that. And then that gets into that whole thing because an ant never wonders about where it came from. It knows that knowledge is passed on. Bee, the same thing. Not with us. No, this mind. Because this is where it gets a little weird now, because it would imply that something, someone, some group, I don't know, but what I do think I know is they don't want to know, they don't want us to know. They don't want to know where we came from, how we originated here. Oh, we've got our science, you have your ideas on that. Maybe none of them are right. Maybe all of them are right. I don't know. Did we arrive as a single cell entity? Did we just happen to find the right chemical mixture and combination of things on a planet that a single cell was brought forth and then split? Was that the Big Bang? Or were we magically spoken into existence? That seems a little weird. I mean, if we were just magically spoken into existence or genetically engineered into existence, then that would represent two things. Are we finite or are we infinite? Because apparently we came out of the nothing, right? Okay. But would that also not imply that maybe, in fact, we are free minds? Somehow in this void of chaos, of chaotic energies and substances we can't even don't even have any idea about. Somehow within all of that, there is this thing called thought. Is thought become an individual or does it become part of a collective? If it's part of a collective, then does it have the ability to distend itself from a collective mind? But if it's the collective mind, how did the collective mind come into existence to begin with? If you say that, well, energy can be neither created nor destroyed, but is in a constant state of flux of change, well, okay. So we just come from the primordial goo? Is that where mind? Because unless a spirit has a mind, I don't know how a spirit exists. Or what would be the purpose? It would just be unidentified plasmatic energy. I mean, if there's a coalescence of those unseen substances that begin that flicker, that divine spark, and thought, individualistic, individual, begins to have its beginnings. Is that how it works? Are we truly free minds, but we don't have the ability to comprehend, apprehend, unless there's some sort of control or influence? Or can we evolve without the need for the structure? Or do we have to have a foundation? It's interesting. Chris says, we know it moves, Wayne, the spirit. I've seen it move many a time. They also sell it in a bottle, But anyway, I digress. I don't know. A couple of weeks ago, by the way, someone wrote me and said it was amazing. I had more positive emails than the ones I've read and a couple of the negatives. And someone said, your stuff is too dark. I went back and I looked at it and I said, well, I guess it could look at there as dark, but I think you'd find some great light within that dark, but apparently not. And the thing about the curses. Now, I had some people write and said, to tell people to go out and to curse, well, that's not love. No. How are you defining love again? Help thy fellow man? Is that the predication there? But curses. Now, there's something I know. See, I studied all this in a former life. You want to talk about curses? Just go to the book of Deuteronomy. How many of you have studied the book of Deuteronomy? Be honest now. Some people are going, what? But if you look in the book of Deuteronomy, and from Deuteronomy 29, you go for about the next, I don't know, 5, 6 chapter. I mean, hundreds of verses. But if you look at those verses, they're all curses. I often found it odd. You have this controller who says it's love, but exhibits real hatred, and says that it's a blessing, but the blessings are only 14 verses, but the freaking curses are 412. Sure. Mind control. You break the law, you sinner. I had all these documents I was going to show us in it, but this is just some mind coitus. But I do think about this because it's influenced by the reality. The reality is that we know that the only thing we do know is that all of us are going to put these bodies down. Now, the debate is what happens in that moment of transition. Well, You know, it would seem that those who cross over or have sometimes the visit and then are sent back, every one of the near death experiences, and I've got several books of them over there, of thousands of cases, there's not one of them that are the same. They're all different. And what does that tell you? Now, you have influences of those who believe in the heaven and hell construct. They'll have the familiar surroundings of what they've been taught, what their minds have been told to create. But then you have a lot of others that I think it's a far out place. I've heard this, and I've read this in many of Gnosis and what they would call occult books. But actually, it's in a few of the religious ones as well, is that death is orgasmic. Yeah, I can dig that. If coming in when you're compressed, I'm not sure. Maybe that's why we don't remember. Maybe that pain barrier is a frequency barrier that part of the ticket. I don't know. What's a free mind? Wasn't that the famous line in there, Meg Ryan and Joe versus the volcano? When she told Joe, she said, let the mind go and the body will follow. Something like that. So we're just letting our minds go. I think that's why some, as I look back, with great deal of fondness, actually, you know, those trips I took, many of us took, the one where, we were existing in this reality, but we weren't in this reality. And odd too, as I think back, people who have bad trips is because of a lot of the influence, and that there are many of us who we dug every trip. It was fun. They say sometimes in the spatial dimensions is that we become so dependent on the five physical senses, but we have failed not to understand we probably have eight or nine. And yeah. Anyway, well, I hope you've enjoyed this session. Missed y'all, and yarn to learn like them. Just looking at some of this. Congrats that after Vegas, they locked that shit down. They're gone. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so is your mind free? Can a free mind actually exist here? I don't know. I sense this. If we can ask the question, I think that puts us ahead of so many others. Again, it's like the video last night. We question everything. So I'd love to know, are you truly a free mind? Tell me how you got there if you are, and I'll spread it out to everybody else. So, hey, Nina, what's up? We'll have to rewatch, Wayne. I hope you're doing well, Nina. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Jeanette, good to see you as well. My name is that Sonel? Soneli? I hope I did. If I butchered it up, my apology. Rennie, good to see you. Paul, Joe, hello, Chris, and JK. What's up? Question everything. I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, we may never get the answer, but at least we ask the question. Sometimes they say, well, you don't ask the right question. Well, the only way I know how to do that is to ask the question. If it's a wrong question, then I'll ask something else. We'll eventually get there. At least that's what I think. Hey, Blazing River. Chloe, how are you doing, my dear? So good to think. Thank you for putting actual functionality thinking in my Ah, hey, you know, if I don't do it, who else? Right? It's fun. It actually is. And getting back to this ET thing, let's say our planet is truly in the midst of an invasion. Uh, Maybe we're their spoiler alert. We're the wrench that'll be thrown into the monkey gears. I don't know. I haven't seen ET. Has not decided to come visit me. I have not been taken up into a ship, at least one that I don't remember. But I'm hypnotized. That's the other thing. I mean, again, check out flicker rates. How do you, that's why we enjoy films, those type of visual stimulants. It'll make you cry, make you laugh. It'll make you high. It'll bring you down low. Yeah. And it's all imaginary, hypnotized. And I'll leave you out with the song. It's a mystery to me. That's when Bob Welch was around. I think Peter Green was still with the band Fleetwood Mac. Hypnotized. Doom, 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 doom. How many remember? It's a famous thing that goes into him. And great guitar work to it, by the way. All right. Well, JK, thank you. Right back at you. So, all right. Well, no, 8888 says now it's scouring mirrors. Yeah, I got some over there. Barry wins. Much love to you, darling. Okay. Uh, until we meet tomorrow, and we'll pick it up. Um, Hopefully Jenny will be here, but if not, we're going to continue on this thought. What if there really is a ultimate agenda? Oh, we'll have fun probing down the old rabbit hole. Get your shovels ready. That's all I got to say. All right. Much love, everyone.